Hello everybody, my name is JCW and welcome back to the Maxcape Speedrun series. After completing 200 mil in all skills in my level 3, I decided to set a new challenge for myself. Maxing total level on a brand new account in the lowest gameplay time possible. This account has absolutely no restrictions, meaning I can do whatever it takes to achieve my ultimate goal, finishing within 35 days of playtime. Last episode, we left off doing Logout Slayer, where I log out while mobs are being piled and only log in once they are ready to be hit. Right here, we're about to get a huge upgrade, which is Missouri Armor right at 80 range. Chinning so far has not been the greatest XP an hour. It's been decent, but Barrage has always been more damaged by a lot. However, there was two reasons why I was somewhat taking it slow on early level Slayer to focus on my range XP. The first reason is the Missouri Armor upgrade at level 80, which we just hit, and I'll get into later about why it's so overpowered. The second reason is I am only 90 cooking. I still need to finish 99 at some point, which brings us to the big question. Why would me not being 99 cooking be relevant to me training range over Barrage right now? Well, if you remember, I got a lot of my current cooking XP from agility, doing baked pie while running around the Sepulchre agility course. Well, here's the thing. That spell is on Lunar Spellbook, and if I were to be barraging, I would be on Ancients, unable to cast it. So, knowing that I needed an AoE attack while also being on Lunar Spellbook to bake as many pies as possible, I thought why not try combining the two skills, cooking and range. I mean, think about it, they already have something in-game, and I think it's in real life too, named after it. That's right, boys and girls. This big, hot, fiery thing right in front of us is called a cooking range. Used to bake anything we want. In this case, we'll be doing pies. However, this is not the cooking range a speedrun account should ever touch, but rather here, during this Bloodveld task, where it's easy for me to train both cooking and range together. For whatever reason, the bake pie spell is pretty much unstoppable. In this scenario, I click the Bloodveld to throw a chin at it, and naturally, I'll keep attacking it until it has 0 HP. But the cool thing is that I can click Bake Pie whenever I want and it won't even interrupt my chin throwing. So because of this, I'm able to bake pies for some extra cooking XP during Slayer. I try to empty my inventory with everything I can, minus the necessities like a Bastion Potion or a Rune Pouch, and I typically have 22 to 24 slots open. So I just need to run some pies on an ult and trade over every time I run out, which is typically every other logout. If you really think about it, I'm basically training Slayer the same speed as normal, and the only real time I'm losing is having to trade myself 45 times per hour. Which sure, can be argued as a pretty big loss, but at the same time I'm gaining 250k cooking XP per hour, which was the average rate I got for the level 80 to 90 that I've done this method for. It's well worth the 2 minute or so loss for that much cooking XP. One thing I should definitely mention before you all try bake pieing your tasks, this only works if you are in a safe spot. If any monster attacks you, it'll cancel the Bake Pie action. Since my ult is tanking all the Bloodvelds, it puts me in a safe spot to where I'm fine. So let's take a look at our XP rates. As you can see on the screen, I'm getting around 145k-ish Slayer XP and 250k cooking. I forgot to show my range XP, but going off my memory, around this time, I was getting about 400k an hour. Before I had Missouri, I was only getting like 300k range and about 115 to 120k Slayer. Remember earlier when I mentioned how good Missouri armor was? The reason it's so good is that all ranged armor, including one tier below which is Armadillo, does not have range strength to it. The gear only gives range accuracy, which is cool because you splash less, but overall I'll get more DPS having more max hits. So, Missouri, unlike any other ranged armors, actually gives range strength. Not sure if you guys can relate, but I mean from all the video games I played growing up, which is like RuneScape 2, RuneScape 3, and old school RuneScape, highest strength has always been the meta. So that is why I kind of sacrificed myself getting low rates until 80 range. In my opinion, it was somewhat worth it because I had a feeling Missouri would be really good, especially considering the cooking XP I'd get. With the rates we mentioned earlier, let's break down our EHP per hour on this task. Slayer was 145k an hour, so that's about 1.1 EHP. Cooking was 250k, so that's about 0.25. Finally, range was 400k, so that's about 0.4. Add all of these up, and this is about 1.75 EHP per hour on this one task. Obviously, I'm not doing Bloodvelds only for 99 Slayer, but I will say Logout Slayer is very generous when it comes to EHP per hour for logins. Pretty shocking, I know. If you're wondering why I said 145k Slayer at my level is 1.1 EHP, to summarize it as best as I can, the Slayer EHP is actually 79k, but it's all calculated in a formula to ensure you finish 99 millies along the way at 0 time. So your EHP will change accordingly to your melee XP gained. For example, look at this sample picture. I gained 12.33 EHP and 1.2 mil Slayer XP, but instead of gaining 0 EHP in the melees, some of the EHP got put in there. It's quite complicated, and to be honest, I don't even fully understand it. But that's the gist of it, and why I'd rather just count the EHP as 110k in this scenario. Those familiar with the game might know the Superior Bloodveld, also known as the thickest NPC in the entire game. His sunburnt buns can be seen from miles away. He does also give 4.1k Slayer XP on death, so I think he actually gives the most Slayer XP of all Superior Slayer monsters. Despite having so many Bloodveld tasks, I never actually learned the best way to kill it because I've rarely been getting Superiors. My only weapon right now is Black Chins, and ideally I don't want to camp another weapon in my inventory, let alone a whole armor set for melee as a switch, because that's just less inventory slots for pies, which isn't ideal for my cooking XP. Trading as soon as it spawns could work in theory, but knowing me, I'd probably misclick 43 times, and the second the trade goes through, it'll despawn. But I promise you guys, one way or another, we do find a solution by the end of this video, so stay put. And at last, here's my 4.1k Slayer XP drop, bringing our Slayer XP an hour back up to 152k. I feel like whenever something stupid happens, I'm not recording. But thankfully, for you guys, I was recording here. I'm still on the same task, getting a little close to the end, and I'm about to get a Superior, and look closely at what happens. Using my quick PVM hands and hotkeys, I open my prayer book to turn on Pray Melee. And I double clicked it without noticing. My eyes aren't even on my Speedrun account since I didn't notice the prayer and I thought I was safe until the Superior died. So evidently, we all know the result. So I lost a couple of minutes here running back to my grave. And okay, it's a couple minutes. But what was even more annoying, and something that I didn't even notice until I was nearly there because someone in my Twitch chat mentioned it, is I lost my Chinchampas. Deaths on Old School typically just require you to run back to your gravestone, pay a small 500k fee, and you get everything back. But Chinchampas specifically do not drop on death. Rather, they escape or run away, whatever you want to call it. So, this gently killed my motivation for a bit, as I was now down 10k Black Chinchampas, which is like 22 mil for a really unlucky mistake. Real quick guys, don't forget to like the video and subscribe if you haven't. Not everything has to be about Bloodvelds though. We did other tasks, believe it or not. I do enjoy Velds a lot, and at the time I'm making this video, I would say Velds are up there in my favorite tasks. But Tazars, I believe, are easily my favorite. These things are so broken in terms of XP rates, and it's all melee XP too. Remember how we spent 2 hours doing diaries to get the Crystal Halberd? Well, to say it was worth it would be underestimating it. I only had one task with Sea Halley before Torva, so I'll show my rates in just a moment once we get the final upgrade. Here's a nice clip of me unlocking the final melee upgrade, which is 80 defense for Torva. Which brings us to our next Tazar task. We're at level 77 strength, we are already getting 154k an hour Slayer XP, along with 600k melee XP. And funnily enough, I noticed while rewatching this clip that something weird happened. This task is very close to ending, and this is actually the last login I have before my task ends. Notice how here I log out with 34.8k Slayer XP gained, and no message in my chat box saying that the task ended. Logging back in, but little did I know my task was over. You'll notice I go through this whole stack without getting any Slayer XP. Unfortunately, I logged in 2 more times after this before putting 2 and 2 together and realizing I was off task. At least we got free melee XP though. So far in this account, I've generally had bad RNG on tasks since I started Slayer. At this point, being level 80, nearly 81, I was still barely holding on to any of my points. However, I was getting close to my 100th task. I just passed 90 at this point. Because I was still struggling with points, I made another change of what I'm going to do plan-wise. I heard Spirit Warriors were generally a good task, so I decided I should extend them and do the quest for it next time I get assigned them. Secondly, I was doing Hellhounds and Fire Giants, which I wasn't the last episode. But with Spirit Warriors unlocked, I can now do Fire Giants, Hellhounds, and Spirit Warriors. Ideally, I would like to skip Fire Giants since they are the same weighting as Spirit Warriors, but it's good for now since I'm low on points. However, right here, I unexpectedly got a ridiculous amount of Fire Giants after making my decision. I logged out for a bit to think about it, and my final decision was that since it was so many Fire Giants, I decided to risk it and skip it. So after that, and another skip, we had 109 points left, and still needed to do another 10 tasks before our 100th. Take note of how here I get assigned 242 Blood Velds. Since I last died at Blood Velds, I decided to change up my strategy a bit. I decided to put cooking on hold temporarily and ended up just bringing an entire melee switch and bulwark specking each kill, then finishing it off with the chins. This method was a bit better Slayer XP an hour, getting 160k, and instead of cooking XP, I got attack XP. So I guess they just kind of replace each other. The reason I told you to remember I got assigned Blood Velds in the last clip was because that was right before I got 81 Slayer, and unfortunately I forgot to clip 81 because I was just testing this method. But now, here I am, getting level 82 at Blood Velds again. I'll give you guys one guess as to where I got level 83 Slayer. It begins with B and ends with Blood Veld. 2 whole Slayer levels since our crisis of only having 109 points, we were still chilling. But also, we were still not even at our 100th task yet, which was only 9 tasks away at that point. It was then that our RNG finally took a turn in this account, and I am honestly so grateful for that. Basically, my next 8 tasks were something like Blood Velds to Dazars, to Blood Velds to Anku, to Blood Velds, and it was just constant Blood Velds. On one hand, this is really good because it's insane Slayer XP an hour. On the other, I'm sacrificing a lot of melee XP, which is important to be 99 by the time I'm done with Slayer, so even though this felt good in the moment, it could hurt me long term. But as of right now, it did not feel like that at all. I was just glad to finally be gaining points and quick XP. The funniest thing too is my big IQ move to do Spirit Warriors and Fire Giants to save points hasn't even come into play. I did not get assigned a single Fire Giant or Spirit Warrior task since we got assigned that 193 Fire Giants 2 levels ago. At this point, we are finally at our 99th task, which is Anku's. This is a really quick task, both IRL time and in-game time, as there's a stack of 10 or 11 of them, and you can only get assigned 60 or so. Fast forwarding to the end of the task, I tried NPC contacting Konar for my 100th task. And if you guys remember, Konar gives significantly more points than other Slayer Masters, so it's worth doing for my 50th and 100th task. Anyway, because this was my 100th, I tried NPC contacting her, and every guy's worst nightmare happened. She actually friend-zoned me. She wasn't aware of my intentions. So I did what every man would do, and I ran to her. Last time, I had to skip 2 tasks because she kept assigning me monsters in the Fremennik Slayer dungeon, which are single combat and really garbage to get to. However, this time was different. She wants me to kill 123 jellies in the catacombs. Now I know these are multi-combat, and I know there's a lot, so let's head there. Literally my first stack of chinning them, I got a superior. And seeing this giant piece of jello was the funniest thing I've seen in a while. I honestly didn't know how to kill it because it was so unexpected I didn't even think twice about a superior spawning. But I mean, I'm definitely not the one to complain about a free 2k Slayer XP. Also, I had a lot of gear in my inventory, so I ended up doing a mixture of bulwark, chinning, sea howley, because I just couldn't make up my mind on how I should kill them. At first I was chinning them, and then I realized why would I chin when I can literally just crystal halberd them just like Dust Devils. So I finished the task that way. And oh my god guys, do I wish Durtho could assign these. This is my XP rates this task, and yeah, it was a pretty great task. Honestly, I would put it into Czar tier. We also have so many points now to play around with because RNG has been nice to us lately. Pretty much from here on out, our future Slayer is going to be looking quite comfortable. Oh, and of course, I don't want to leave you guys hanging. Take a wild guess on what my next task could be. I believe this is where we end this week's episode. It's been a while since you guys have seen me farming, so I wanted to remind you that we are still doing this shitty skill. I actually should end up getting 99 in the next episode, which will be relieving since I've been dreading it with Slayer. Let's go through a recap of the progress on this account from the past week. On the left we have our stats from last week, and on the right is our current stats. We itched over 2.1k total this week, and I mean other than that, yeah, you guys know the Slayer progress. I'm quite happy with it so far, and I actually feel like I've been playing a lot. It's just that Walkout Slayer tends to slow down the XP in our IRL time significantly more than I originally thought. Here's an easier visual strictly for the progress gains. We are now at 714 EHP, officially putting us at 3/4 of the way to max. Anyway Kings, this will be all for today's episode. As always, TY for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, since you guys have watched me kill blood velds for most of this video, I will send you off with one more blood veld clip that I promise none of you have ever seen anything similar to it. Peace out.